It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the semi-finals of the 2022 World Cup, and they don't get much bigger than Argentina and Croatia tomorrow morning. Both have been beaten finalists in the past and will probably put up a hell of a game for all us neutrals. And to be perfectly honest, I can't wait for it. What's going on, guys? It is Ketch back with another video on the channel. I can't believe it's almost the end of the World Cup. Feels like only yesterday I started doing videos at the start of the World Cup, but now we're approaching the end of it. Only a few games left to go, and we shall see what happens. But as I said earlier, it is Argentina, Croatia to start us off, and France, Morocco will also play off for a place in the World Cup final that I think is happening Monday morning if you're in Australia. But let's get into the video. So I thought I'd start this off by recapping both teams' runs to the final. Argentina started off with a shock loss against Saudi Arabia before brushing aside Mexico and Poland to progress into the round of 16. Then they were very fortunate to beat off a plucky Australia in the round of 16 game, and then the massive fiery fireball game against the Dutch that went all the way to penalties, and Argentina, like 2014, made their way through on penalties. It was a very interesting game. The ref showed a lot of yellow cards, but not a lot of composure. But Messi will be starting to believe that this is his chance to finally go all the way and emulate Maradona before him. As many of you will probably know, Messi has had previous experience in a World Cup final, and unfortunately he lost to the Germans on that occasion back in 2014, and the picture of him walking past the World Trophy has probably haunted him for those last 8 years. But I think Argentina are coming into a point where their team's probably the strongest left. Maybe France, you could argue, is still stronger than them. But I think Argentina will fancy their chances against both Croatia and either France or Morocco in the final. But anyway, can Messi do it? Only time will tell. Croatia, meanwhile, have had an interesting run to the World Cup final as well. They started off with a 0-0 with other semi-finalists Morocco before beating Canada 4-1, and then a 0-0 with Belgium in their final group stage match was enough to get them through to the round of 16, where they were lucky to beat Japan on penalties. I should say. Dominik Livakovic coming up clutch in the round of 16 against the Japanese, and then he came up clutch again against the Brazilians. But it wasn't if it wasn't for a Bruno Petkovic 117th minute equaliser, then Croatia probably would have been done in that game. But they went through on penalties, and they're here in the semi-final against Lionel Messi's Argentina, and they've got experienced players, the likes of Ivan Perisic, Dejan Lovren, to name a few, Luka Modric running the middle of the park for him, Mateo Kovacic, Marcelo Brozovic. They've got a lot of experience in the Croatian national team, and I think that's probably why they were an outside threat to go to the final and knock Argentina out. But Modric has had previous experience in losing the World Cup final, like Messi in 2018. Unfortunately for Modric, he was on the losing occasion to France as they lost 4-2. Modric and Messi also share the unique distinction of both having won the Golden Ball for best player at the tournament, but not actually winning the trophy. So there's a fun fact for everyone. But Messi v Modric, this is a very, very interesting game. Both have lost in finals. Who will finally get past the other and into the final for potentially the second time? And now we move on to the second semi-final between the defending champions France and the surprise package, the underdogs Morocco, the first African nation to a World Cup semi-final. To be perfectly honest, I think France will fancy their chances in this game. I mean, just look at their team: Mbappe, Giroud, Dembele, Lloris, Varane. Even people that aren't there who are injured, like Karim Benzema, for example, he's not playing. But look, they've just stepped up, and like 2018 when they won the tournament, I think it'll be very, very hard for Morocco to stop them, especially with Kylian Mbappe in the form he's in. And also the fact that they're defending champions, France won't let it go easily. But they were troubled in periods against England, and if it wasn't for Harry Kane blasting his penalty over the bar, then it could have been a different story. But as it is, France are in the semi-final as deservedly as well as they should be. Their only sort of blotch on their record is that 1-0 loss to Tunisia. But yeah, hopefully France don't have any more blotches for their sake, but I guess time will tell. Surprise package. Morocco have had an interesting World Cup, it has to be said. They started off with a 0-0 draw against the other semi-finalists, Croatia. Then they somehow surprised Belgium 2-0 and then knocked off Canada 2-1 in their final group stage game to go through the round of 16 against, well, one of the bigger European nations in Spain, and managed to knock them out on penalties. Spain didn't actually score one of those penalties in the shootout. And then they surprised the world again by beating Portugal 1-0, and they celebrated wildly by throwing their manager into the air. And I think Morocco have a really good defense, which is key at international tournaments, but against the mighty France, I just don't know if they can hold out for that long. But their keeper Bono seems to be in excellent form at the minute, so I guess time will tell. But based off how tomorrow's and Thursday's matches will go, it remains to be seen. But Morocco will push all the way and hopefully push for a surprise upset, one that I'm pretty sure will shock the world. All right, so time for my prediction of who's going to make it to the final. You can probably tell on screen who I think is going to make it. I think this is going to be an Argentina versus France final. I think they're probably the two remaining teams that have the most in them to go all the way and potentially win it. The storyline is there for Messi to finally win the World Cup and emulate his hero Diego Maradona, but also at the same time France will be chasing history and attempting to be the team that goes back to back for the first time since 1962 when the mighty Pele in Brazil did it back then. So France will definitely be definitely pushing to win, as will Argentina. But I think there's just a sentimental favorite in terms of Argentina winning it, and I think it will probably send Messi out on a high. In terms of he's 35, I think if he wins this, I think he'll probably retire from international football to prolong his club career as much as possible. And then if you look at the France team, the majority of them are still very young as it is anyway. Mbappe's still in his early 20s, so the kid can go to at least another 3 or 4 World Cups. He'd probably be 38 by the time he got to the end of that 4th one. But I think this is probably the final that that everyone's expecting to see, and barring any major surprises, I think this is probably the final we will get. And I guess you'll have to stay tuned for my World Cup final prediction. But that has been the end of this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. And have a great day. See you guys. Bye.